Good evening, everyone. It's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel or to the Facebook group, wherever you're seeing this from. And it is Beauty After Dark. It is 10:18 p.m. on Friday, June 16th. And I decided to film. My husband is off playing poker and my daughter is doing her math homework. Yes, it's summertime, but she's in an accelerated course, so she does have math homework at this time. And she has a track meet tomorrow, so I'm staying up later than I should to play in makeup and talk. But hopefully this will be quick. I'm going to do a soft glam look. And soft glam kind of means whatever you want it to mean. It's not a full heavy makeup look with like a smoky eye and all of that stuff. It's softer. So I'm going to attempt that today while I discuss a topic I brought up in an earlier video that I have not yet posted as of 10/19, but will post. So I mentioned in that video, and I kind of gloss over it a little bit because I'm actually talking about my natural hair. I filmed that video this morning. I'm actually talking about my natural hair in most of that video, but it kind of veers off the rails about halfway through. But I wanted to address a diagnosis that I mentioned that I have. And so some of you may be unaware that I've had this diagnosis since college, but some of you may not know I am bipolar, and I found out I was bipolar my sophomore year of college. I took a semester off to kind of recover and regroup, and came back and finished on time and was fine. Every day I take 5 pills every night before bed. Usually I take them around this time, but I'm going to take them a little bit later tonight. It's lithium, it's Abilify, and it's Klonopin. And they all are helping me remain even keel, I would say. I'm the type of person that a lot of people would describe as very level-headed and very, just kind of moderate, not too high, not too low, just in the middle kind of person. And a lot of that is because of medication. I don't want to say a lot of that. Some of that is just me, but I have a tendency towards mania with my bipolar disorder. So that's the kind of manic highs that you'll see, people, delusions of grandeur, just hyperactivity, just starting a bunch of tasks and not finishing them, just feeling like you can conquer the world, is all part of the manic side of bipolar disorder. Then there's the opposite. And that is essentially feeling so depressed that you can't get out of bed, you can barely breathe, you can't function. It's it's miserable. You feel miserable, you feel worthless, you feel useless. It's the pits. I've only experienced the depressive episode once, maybe twice in my life. The manic episodes, on the other hand, those, I know of 3 significant ones, but I'm sure I've had what we call hypomanic episodes, which are just below true mania, but you are kind of out of character for your norm. So I, I've been dealing with this since my early 20s, and that's typically when people get diagnosed, is around that time frame. I was actually 19 when I got diagnosed, I think. And just shy of 19. It was my sophomore year, so 19 sounds about right. But I started college at 17, so it could have been 18. I don't know. But it was a mess, and it was, a very difficult adjustment, because when something is off in your brain that isn't like, a tumor or something that can be removed or fixed, when something is chemically off in your brain wants to feel like, well, I can fix it. But there's no amount of willpower, there's no amount of determination, there's no amount of just sheer force of will that will allow you to fix bipolar disorder. It is a chemical imbalance in the brain of various neurotransmitters, and there is nothing short of medication. I mean, I'm sure there are certain techniques and certain tactics that you can use to minimize the effects. For me, having a routine and sticking to that routine is one of the hallmarks of maintaining, brain health, essentially. Getting enough sleep is another one, and that's a challenging one, because when I don't get enough sleep, my brain starts to get out of whack, and even sometimes the medication can't help. And at that point, we worry that I'll go into a manic episode just from a couple of days. I don't want to say a couple of days, it's usually prolonged lack of sleep. So usually, if I am not sleeping if I'm only getting, 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night for 2 weeks, I'm going to have to give my psychiatrist a call and, let him know that, my sleep pattern is off because of this, or because I'm anxious, or because of that. And that's another component of my disease, anxiety. And, a lot of people suffer from anxiety, like a lot. But when you add bipolar to the mix, it's on a whole nother level. And there are certain things that I don't even know how to describe them. Like certain things that in the back of my mind, I know are irrational, but because I have this intrusive thought, it just permeates my brain and takes over. One of the things that I have this irrational fear of sometimes is really high escalators. So when if you've ever been in the Atlanta airport, you understand there are super high escalators to get to the plane train. And I have to take a deep breath and just relax and, um, basically acknowledge that it's going to be fine. I'm not going to, mysteriously fall off the escalator somehow or tumble down and knock all these people down on the way. I just have to kind of have faith that it's going to be fine. But it's a struggle. Like it is it's difficult, and there are other examples. Like I don't particularly like driving. It makes, and I don't particularly like driving, and I don't particularly like being driven, um, unless it's by certain people. um, Certain people just drive in a manner that freaks me out, and they're not bad drivers. They're actually really good drivers. I just have this irrational fear, like, because I'm not in control of the situation. And that is one of the key words associated with my disorder, is control. Like when I feel like I lack control in a situation, especially a situation where I feel like I should have control, it it, it drives me bonkers. Like I can't, I I don't know what to do with myself. It is, you know, difficult at best. Um, and I've been managing this disorder for, let's see, I'll be 40 in November. So 19, so 21 years. And it certainly had its ups and downs. God bless my husband. God bless my mama, because this particular disease runs in our family, and she recognized it in me because she had seen it in other loved ones, and it just like, she knows better than I know when I am off. And I'm adding my Shape Tape Concealer. That was House Labs foundation and Sephora Smooth and Blur primer. She just knows. And a lot of people who have an undiagnosed disorder, find ways to cope. I don't really have any vices. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't, I don't engage in risky behaviors. I just don't. And part of that has to do with the medication I'm taking, and part of that has to do with just me. I've never really been interested in mind-altering substances, because I have to take them on a daily basis just to live. And so taking them recreationally just doesn't appeal to me. But that's just me. That's just me. I will say, that I am at my most creative when I am in a manic state. And I empathize with artists and other creatives who are or have symptoms of bipolar disorder, because when you are in mania, it's like the world opens itself up to you. It's a crazy feeling to describe, but everything seems clear and pure, and you seem more sensitive to things, and you just feel like you can conquer the world. It's 100% artificial. You know, it's not reality, um, by any stretch of the imagination. Doing my brows here with precisely my brow. Like I was saying, it's not reality by any stretch of the imagination, um, but you feel like you're doing your best work, and you might actually be doing something creative. You might, I mean, if you are a talented musician or a, you know, a gifted artist, you might actually be creating true works of art. But for someone like me with an analytical brain, for the most part, when I think about creative things and creative stuff, like I have a box of yarn from when I decided I wanted to learn to crochet, and I think I might have crocheted like 5 hats and then I was over it. Like I just I they were cool, they were cute, but that that wasn't what I was meant to do. I have started, well, I'll say this. I have finished about half a dozen scrapbooks. I have started about another half a dozen. But I haven't touched one of my scrapbooks except to move it to a different place, um, in eons, because I don't print off pictures anymore. I don't, I don't, these are all creative outlets that I had that I took up when I was in a manic state, and or hypomanic, and you know was doing them. But and they look great. They really do look nice. um could they be better if I put the time in and wanted to learn and understand and really dedicate myself to um, to excuse me as I blend out my concealer. But I'm sure they could have been, even better if I had taken the time to really um, make them look like. And I even got into like digital scrapbooking, which can look absolutely incredible. Like some of the pages some people have created look so stunning. And I wish I could be that talented, but I'm not. But as I was saying, you know, the one or maybe two depressive episodes I've had, I didn't want to get out of bed. I just didn't, I just, I was miserable. I don't even know how else to describe it. Like, and it was like, I was in pain, like physical pain, which was strange because there wasn't anything physically wrong with me, but I felt like I was in pain. And it just was tremendously difficult to function. I didn't go to work for like 3 months. And I was truly sick and depressed. For a variety of reasons, but you know, it just felt like I don't know how to describe it. It felt like the world was closing in on me for some reason, and there wasn't anything that I could do or anything that anyone could do to kind of help alleviate the pain I was feeling. And, you know, John tried, my mom tried. And I started taking my medication again. And that was another thing. When you are taking meds like what I'm taking, and you suddenly stop, you're asking for a world of trouble, just in general, because your body gets acclimated to those, you know, those boosts, basically. Gets acclimated to that balance that you have. And it doesn't take much to throw it off. And I'm just blending out my concealer. I don't normally use concealer as eye primer. I normally use eye primer as eye primer because it tends to work better. But for this particular look, I'm going to just go with the flow. Blend this concealer out into my foundation. Now I used a darker shade on top, closer to my actual skin tone, and I used a lighter shade to kind of help me carve out my eyebrow. All right, now I am going to set my under eye with my Laura Mercier powder. which, because I traveled with it, is literally all over the place, but that is okay. So yeah, like, bipolar disorder is no joke. None of the mental health disorders is no joke. But one thing I want you to understand is, not all, people living with these disorders have to worry. You have to worry about, most of them are fine and going about their daily lives without you even knowing anything about their condition or situation or anything like that. So, it's funny. I had a friend, we were chatting, and I mentioned in passing that I had bipolar disorder, and he's like, wait, what? Like, he had absolutely no idea. And we've known each other for years, like almost 20 years, and he had no clue. Maybe 15 years, 15 or 16 years, but he had no idea that I was living with this particular condition. So, you don't assume people that act out have a mental health disorder, but don't assume that all of the people who you perceive to be living life normally don't have some type of issue that they're dealing with. That's, why they always tell you, always be kind, because you never know what the person around you is dealing with. So I'm getting ready to throw on some eyeshadow. I'm going to use my Born This Way palette, ironically enough, by Too Faced. It's Sunset Stripped. Because, I was born this way. I was essentially, it's part of my genes. It's hereditary. It's however you want to describe it, but it is what it is. And let's see, I'm gonna take Chai Times. I also will say, using eye primer instead of concealer, you're gonna get better pigment with the eyeshadows. Just an FYI. But yeah, like, I don't want to say I go to great lengths to appear normal, because, what is normal? But I do pride myself on, people not, not being able to tell. Because, the last thing I want is for people to be like, oh, Ashley, she's just having another one of her episodes or something like that. Um, Everybody has bad days. Everybody has situations that are difficult for them. Everybody has, a condition or a struggle that you don't know anything about. And there's really nothing I like that. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this black sand. Just like that. Now this is probably smoking it out just a little bit too much for a soft glam look, but oops, I like deepening the outer edge personally. Just like that. So pretty. So yeah, but I'm definitely, I'm not ashamed of my diagnosis. If anybody has any questions, or, you can drop them in the comments or in the chat, or ask me personally. Drop them in the chat. That's like Teams. I mean, you can chat with me via Facebook chat. I have that feature, but and Instagram DM or whatever. But I don't want people, I guess what I don't want is for people to treat me any differently than they normally would, and this color is called So So Hot. So I've used Chai Time, So So Hot, and Black Sand. Gotta add a little shimmer for the soft glam. Let me see. I want to and I'm going to take a little bit of Shall We Dance. Just like that. You can barely see it, but it's like this pink shimmer, and I'm just trying to smooth it out over the concealer. I really like that. So we've got that going. I need to throw on some mascara. Put that right there. And maybe even a little liner, a little eyeliner. Y'all know I usually skip eyeliner because I suck at it, but it is what it is. So yeah, like, I'm an open book about bipolar disorder for me and what I experience and how I deal with it. I see my psychiatrist once every 3 months. I was seeing a therapist, but it started to get expensive, so I'm on a break from my therapist. But I am gonna get back into it because I did see value in it. I have other things, other financial goals that I want to achieve, and that's one area that I felt like I could cut, because the therapy was sort of covered by my insurance, but not all of it. But my psychiatry visits are covered at 100%. So that's why and it's also telehealth, which I love, because I have to be honest, I haven't met my psychiatrist in person. um, I I got him during COVID, and we were doing telehealth, and that was that. Like, and we've continued to do telehealth despite the fact that most practices have gone back to, but I think in general it's faster. They can see more patients. People aren't showing up late for the most part for their appointments because they have to commute or whatever. There's not like a drive or what have you and things like that. So it is better. I think I'm gonna skip eyeliner. Okay, blush. I'm gonna go with Sweet Pea from Sephora, which is this kind of rosy pink-ish blush. I like that. Okay, so y'all, pro tip that I forgot, unless it's lip sense, if you are putting on regular lipstick, which I'm about to do, put on a little lip balm beforehand so that your lip liner glides on a lot smoother and your lipstick glides on a lot smoother. And y'all, this Summer Fridays Butter Balm is the truth. I got it from Sephora. I got it in pink. I think this is pink sugar. I got it pink sugar, vanilla, and like cherry. Just stunning. I actually like this pink. Okay, I'm gonna take my Sephora Gel Rouge pencil in brown. It's actually in the shade Molasses. And see how smooth that is? I love that. And I am going to take my Sephora cream lip stain in the shade Skin Deep. And then I'm going to take my gloss bomb, my Fenty gloss bomb in the shade Riri, just like this pink shade. And I am going to reline my lips just a little bit. And I'm going to add just a bit of, if I can get it open, maybe I won't be adding it. I was gonna add a bit of glitter. There we go. To the center. All right, that is the look. I really think it looks super pretty. Very soft, very glam. I could go over it with powder and setting spray, but y'all, it's 11 o'clock. I'm gonna take it off, to be honest. I'm gonna take a few pictures and then I'm gonna take it off. But back to the topic at hand, you know, May was Mental Health Awareness Month, and I just want, you know, people to respect each other, and, you know, just kind of be mindful of your friends that share with you that they have a condition that affects their mental health, because it takes a lot to put a trust in you, because there's still a lot of stigma around mental health. There's a lot of assumptions, you know. Everybody assumes that, you know, if you have a mental health disorder, you're violent or something like that, you know, when just the data don't parse that out at all. Millions of people live with mental health disorder across the country, and they live very productive, happy, healthy lives. So I, you know, would argue that, you know, you're more likely to be around a person who's dealing with a mental health disorder in your daily life than you are, you know, someone who isn't. So, and a lot of people are undiagnosed. That's something that, you know, people don't realize they're now, that's not an excuse to go around, saying, oh, you have undiagnosed bipolar disorder, or you have undiagnosed schizophrenia, or you are this or that. But, you know, sometimes people cope the way they cope, and they don't want to know the diagnosis. They don't want to seek help. And all you can do is be as supportive as possible. I freely admit that there were times that I did not want to take my medication, and that I didn't, and I suffered. It wasn't until I got into, especially in my 20s, but it wasn't until I got into, because I felt invincible. I felt like I could tackle this, I could do this, I could overcome this, like Tom Cruise on that couch. Like, I felt like, this was something that I could beat. I had beaten everything else. But it wasn't until my 30s that I realized that, no, honey, this is something serious. Like, this ain't that. And you need to seek help, you need to seek care, and you need to stay in touch with those that care about you and love you and accept you. And, I may lose people over this, but, it is what it is. I have to be honest and live in my truth. And this was a topic that I had been wanting to bring up and wanting to discuss, but honestly had been a little bit scared. But I feel like this is something that needed to be said and shared, because I mentioned therapy in the previous video, and I mentioned, how different people need therapy and things like that. And it's not just for those of us with mental health disorders, even, people who are what we call neurotypical as opposed to neurodivergent could, benefit from therapy. And, there's no, now, I'm not saying, you go to a therapist and you lie to them, because that's not going to get you anywhere. But if you go to a therapist and you're honest and you're open with what you want to fix in your life and what you want to address in your life, that is a key to unlocking a happier, healthier lifestyle. It just is. I feel like I've come a long way with my diagnosis and accepting it and realizing that, and I haven't had an episode since 2019. So, I mean, it was still pretty recent that I was struggling with this, but I feel like I am in a good place now. I feel like, being able to share and be open and honest is going to be beneficial in the long run. So I hope to open up a dialogue or a conversation. If you want to talk to me about it and you have my phone number, feel free to call me. I'm not putting my phone number on the internet. Sorry. But if we are actual friends, and you have my phone number or would like my phone number and we are actual friends, I would not mind sharing that information with you. and talking about it. I have close personal friends that I talk to about this type of thing, and it really does make me feel better. So I feel like this has gone on for a while, so I'm gonna close and just say, you know, I wish you the best. I hope this video is helpful and informative, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye.